Hi, I'm Becky Jalbert, Product Manager for Matrix Fitness. Matrix Fitness is a division of Johnson Health Tech, the fourth largest fitness equipment manufacturer in the world. We've had the privilege of teaming up with Johnny G, the creator of spinning, on his latest innovation called the Johnny G krankcycle by Matrix. So let's get you ready to crank by going over some of the key features of the krankcycle. We're going to start with the height adjustment. You want the crank axis chest height to start, and to adjust the height, one hand goes on each side of the crank axis, supporting that headstock, then pulling the lever to the side, either pushing it up or pulling it down, making sure it locks into place. If you want to work a little bit more on strength, you can bring it a little bit lower. If you want to work on your endurance, go ahead and bring it a little bit higher. For now, I'm going to start chest height, and so that's our first key feature of the krankcycle. Our second one is the independent crank arms. What makes independent crank arms so cool is it gives you a lot more training options when you're working your entire upper body. So we're going to go over 4 basic movements, starting with a single arm right. And your resistance knob is at the top. If you want to add resistance, you turn the knob towards the plus sign. If you want to take off some resistance, go ahead and turn the knob to the minus sign. So while you're cranking, and I hope you're doing this with me, you just want to get the technique down first, pushing and pulling to the outer edge of that circle. Nice and fluid, nice and soft. So we can also work our left side, single arm left. It might feel a little bit different, one side versus the other. That's okay. It's all about working to get our body back in balance from the left to right. Pushing and pulling to that outer edge. If you feel a little slip or catch, you really need to focus on that transition from the push to the pull or the pull to the push. So in addition to the singles, you can also do what's called a double by adding a little more resistance, letting those crank arms go back to home base right at the bottom, sinking them up at the bottom, rolling them together over the top. You might start to feel one side maybe get ahead of the other one. That's okay. You focus to keep your body in balance from left to right. And again, make sure your resistance matches your speed. And if you get out of sync, come back to the bottom, sync them up, roll it again. So the last move we have is called the split. For the split, you bring one to the top, one to the bottom, and hold 180 degrees of separation. This is usually the most challenging one for people to get, but that's okay. It takes a little patience, a little practice. So you can do all these moves seated, like I just did, or you can also do them standing by adjusting the height. Again, going single arm, adding a lunge to it, challenging your little body, adding your core into it a little bit more, your shoulder girdle, working some different combinations. And just having some fun. So one more feature I want to talk about next is called the rotation mechanism. This allows us to work the back side of our body. So we always want to bring the headstock to the very top position. And the reason we want to do that is if you leave it here and grab the rotation lever, flip it around, and you're seated, it's a little bit hard to reach. So we always want to remember to bring it to the top, grabbing that headstock, pushing it up to the most upright position, pivoting it around and locking it into place. If it's not locked, you're going to get a lot of movement. So make sure it's locked, and then pivot the headstock back towards your chest. Now we can work your backside, working on our posture, getting the shoulder back and down, and doing all those same moves that we did with forward rotations. Splits, doubles, singles, combinations. Great, so the last thing I want to cover is this seat, which I think is one of the coolest features. It comes off nice and easy. Now this allows people in wheelchairs to roll on up to the machine, pivot it down into place. They can take an indoor cycling class, a cranking class along with everybody else. It also gives able-bodied users a lot more training options with stabilization, single leg moves in the center. The possibilities are endless. One thing I do want to mention is when you're putting the seat back on, make sure it's fully engaged, test it before you sit back down. And if you ever forget any adjustments or settings, please refer to your script and enjoy the ride.